पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवतां नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनि कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोतीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तककेशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम्। लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Hari Om, I hope you all can hear me well. Okay. नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यम् श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यम् तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ परं वरिष्ठं ब्रह्मिष्ठं परमानन्दरूपिणं परमार्थानन्दयतिं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम् So until now, Lord Krishna has talked about 5 topics, in fact inclusive of sannyasa, 6 topics, dividing each one of them into 3 types based on the 3 gunas. And those were, first we saw sannyasa, then jnanam, karma, karta, buddhihi and dhritihi. Right? So jnanam meaning knowledge, karma meaning action, karta meaning doer, and buddhihi meaning intellect, and dhritihi meaning willpower. And now Krishna introduces the last topic for discussion, namely sukham or happiness. And Krishna points out in this, actually we saw in introductory shloka number 36, and then we saw the sattvika sukham also in verse number 37, right? And we saw we can train ourselves to enjoy either sattvika sukham or rajasika sukham or tamasika sukham, right? So because every happiness displaces sorrow, right? So in all the 3 cases it will displace sorrow, but when you look at the long-term benefit, certain pleasures are enjoyable in the present, but in due course it will destroy us either by causing physical ill health or by causing mental problem or sensory problems. So long-term effects are negative in the case of tamasic sukham, whereas sattvic sukham will be long-lasting one, right? Therefore, even though all 3 are tempting, as the whole world is one of temptation, like, right, all kinds of food, shops, parties, all of them, right? So it will destroy the health, and by destroying the health, it will destroy all the 4 purusharthas. Therefore, we should be choosy with respect to sukham. We can't blindly vote for all types of pleasures, right? For a spiritual seeker, out of the 3 types of sukham, hey Bharatarshava, hey Arjuna, Shunu, and then he says that the sattvika sukham is very, very important. In verse 37, we saw this. This is what we completed in the last class. Now, there was a very legitimate question from somebody. Okay, so let me just read that question. And maybe I should have also clarified better. When referring to the 3 gunas related to character, like intellect, will, action, karta, etc., somewhere we get a feeling that rajoguna is also bad. Is it correct? So this has to be very carefully understood. Now, we are on a life journey, and you must remember introduction to Vedanta. We have 4 Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha Purushartha. Now, if you see, we also have seen the ashramas, we have seen the avasthas, we have seen there is Grihastha ashrama, then we have seen there is Vanaprastha ashrama and Sannyasa ashrama. Grihastha ashrama is Karma Yoga Pradhana life, and Vanaprastha ashrama is Upasana Yoga Pradhana life. Now, when we talk about Sattvika, Rajasika and Tamasa varieties of any of these as given in this table here, we must remember Tamasika variety of any of these is definitely bad. Whether you are in religious pursuit, material pursuit or spiritual pursuit, Tamasika of any of these are bad. But if you look at the Rajasika aspect of, say, Dhritihi, Buddhihi, Karta, all of this, Krishna is not saying that it is bad. In fact, Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna that you have to do your Swadharma Anushtanam, your duty as a Kshatriya, right? So, the path is that we start out with Rajasika Karma and Rajasika Dhritihi, Rajasika Buddhihi. Slowly as we mature, as we complete our duties, as we start, understanding the Atma Anatma difference, and we develop Viveka, Vairagya, and we also grow older, wiser, then the shift starts happening from Rajasika towards Sattvika aspects of Dhritihi, Buddhi, Karta, Karma, Jnanam, everything. So it is a gradual journey. And people who are having Rajasika types of all of these, they are the ones because of whom the society runs. Whether you have a person who is fighting at the battlefront, whether it is a politician, whether it is an administrator, whether you are a corporate professional, whether you are a student in school, college, we have to remember that the life continues with this Rajasika Dhritihi, Rajasika Buddhi, etc. Now, what percentage of Sattvika is mixed? As I told you, Prakriti, we are also going to see that Prakriti is Trigunatmika. Therefore, there is a small percentage of Tamasa, there is a small percentage of Rajasa. This mix differs and for each of these aspects. So, we cannot say that Rajasa Dhritihi, Rajasa Buddhihi, etc. are bad. No. Depending on the avastha, depending upon the ashrama, depending on where you are in this journey, right? We will be using more of the Rajasika aspects of these, and slowly and gradually the shift happens. And if a person is a serious spiritual seeker, then he needs to make a conscious effort to pull down certain Rajasika activities and replace them with Sattvic activities. Not use them for something else, but to spend more time on japa, spending more time on reflecting on the teachings, etc. That happens depending on what stage of the journey the person is. So I hope it is clear, right, that there is nothing wrong with the Rajasika aspects for a material pursuit or a religious pursuit also, and that is why Krishna speaks about all of them. But Tamasa doesn't help both. So that much we have to try and avoid or reduce, right? So certain types of food we saw, certain types of disciplines we saw. So those things which we saw in the 17th chapter, we can use them to start slowly moving away from the Tamasa aspect. So let us, yeah, so we saw 37, verse 37, in which I had elaborated about the Sattvika Dhritihi, Sattvika Sukham, right? So we saw that, and we talked about how the Sattvika Ananda is the Ananda which is born out of self-knowledge, and it is so enjoyable, the highest form of Vishayananda. I'm consciously introducing this word Vishayananda. In Taittiriya Upanishad, we will see this in very great detail. about the different levels of Ananda, what are all the joys we get, and then how from each kosha we go inside, right? From Pancha Kosha, and the Ananda becomes subtler and subtler, right? So, Atyantika Sukham you get out of this self-knowledge. We saw verse 37 yesterday. So, we will continue with the Rajasa Sukham. विषयेन्द्रिय संयोगात् विषयेन्द्रिय संयोगात् यत्तदग्रे मृतोपमम् यत्तदग्रे मृतोपमम् परिणामे विषमिव तत्सुखं राजसंस्मृतम् तत्सुखं राजसंस्मृतम्. While Satvika Sukha is a subtle Ananda, which is born out of several spiritual disciplines, Rajasa Ananda is gross Ananda, which is born out of sensory indulgence. Because of the contact between the sense objects and sense organs, there is a joy that is developed. Eating the food that I like, seeing the program that I like, right? Sense organs and sense objects, when they come in contact, there is a joy. So we call it gross pleasure, because it is common to human beings and animals. Animals also enjoy the pleasure of eating. You can see that they also enjoy, lying down in the mud, right? If you see a buffalo, right? Therefore, that's also enjoyment. So we don't require anything extra if we just are dependent on the sense objects and pure sensory pleasures. So we are not any different from animals. So these are called Rajasika Sukham, because first of all, they all lead to addiction, right? So in Manusmriti 294 or 269, because I didn't get the number right, Najatu kamaha kamanam upabhogena shamyati havisha krishnavartmena bhuya eva bhivardate. Just as pouring fuel in the fire, and fire is never going to be satisfied, right? It increases more and more, and it keeps on asking for more and more offering, right? So here also, if you keep on satisfying the sensory desires, the more you fulfill, the more the sense organs and the mind will keep on seeking. Therefore, sooner or later, a person may end up in addiction, and one does not know how to get out of it, right? Therefore, continuing also becomes a problem. Withdrawal is a greater problem, like people addicted to drinks, right? Drugs, etc. So you can't go forward, you can't go backward. So any sense pleasure is potential addiction, unless we are very, very alert and careful. So when the second time or third time the sense organs demand that before the addiction is formed, I should be alert and say no. Even with the TV, serials, you can try this, right? We saw this even in the 17th chapter, right? So tapaha, austerity, we saw there. Right? So Vishendriya Sanyogat. So Krishna does not say sense pleasures should not be enjoyed. We have to be very careful here. Sense pleasures should not be enjoyed is not the message. One should be very, very alert and careful. Otherwise, we may unknowingly get dragged into that. Therefore, Vishayendriya Sanyogat, because of the contact between sense organs and sense objects. Yet agre amrutopamam, which is like amritam in the beginning, but pariname visham iva. It becomes like a poison. Sweet is also wonderful, but what happens? Even today, you can see children have so much of sweet and teeth are getting spoiled, chocolate, etc. Right? Therefore, they become Swamiji jokes, they become Dvija, right? Why Dvija? Teeth are called Dvijaha because it is also twice born. Because, the teeth, the milk teeth fall and then the other teeth come. They are also called Dvijaha. And a Brahmana is called twice born because at the time of Upanayanam, he gets a rebirth. Teeth are also called twice born, right? So Swamiji jocularly says the Dvijaha will become Trijaha because of overindulgence, because we have to use some other dentures in place of our own teeth, right? So overindulgence also becomes a problem. So yet agre amritam pariname vishamiva tatsukam rajasam smritam. This should be reduced, right? So the message is Satvika Sukham must be encouraged. Rajasika Sukham must be in moderation, avoiding overindulgence. Right? Tamasika Sukham should be given up at the earliest. Yadagre chanubande cha Yadagre chanubande cha Sukham mohanamatmanah Sukham mohanamatmanah Nidralasya pramadotham Nidralasya pramadotham Tattamasamudakritam Tattamasamudakritam Yatagre anubande cha atmanaha mohanam. Mohanam here is not the Mohana raga that we see in Carnatic music. Mohanam means deluding the mind as though it is pleasure while it is self-destructing. That pleasure which deludes the mind, deceives the mind. Agrecha in the beginning and anubandecha in the end also. In the case of Satvika and Rajasika, what happens? In one case, the beginning is painful. I was talking about Satvika Sukham because you have to do a lot of exercise, right? Disciplines. And end is pleasure. In Rajasika, the beginning is pleasure, the end is pain, right? Because when it goes away, it is very painful. But Tamasika Sukham deludes a person in the beginning and in the end by numbing the mind like a drug or something, right? So yet agrecha in the beginning and anubandecha in the end also. Atmanaha mohanam, right? Atmanaha here is not Sachidananda Atma. Here it is one's own mind. This deludes. So that is why in the olden days, if you see, children were sent to Gurukulam. They were not given money at all, right? And they used to be only, they used to be at the mercy of the teacher and the teacher's wife, and they used to do a lot of service for them because they looked after them like parents with affection, but they were also very, very strict. But they were not spoiled like the way they are spoiled with pocket money and other things in the home, right? So in the Gurukula, the Guru would give all the instructions, and apparently in the Gurukula, even when Swamiji was there for 3 years, they are not allowed to touch money at all. If somebody gives money, they are supposed to give it to Pujya Swamiji, not keep it for themselves, right? So very, very important aspects were taken care of in the Gurukula, right? So now the Upanayanam also, when it comes, the child has to say, Badam, badam, badam. That means what? Certainly I will do. Certainly I will do. For instance, getting up in the morning, right before sunrise, not sleeping during the day, right? And not eating during sunrise and sunset. Whenever hungry, we can't eat. We have to follow certain rules and disciplines, right? So in the Gurukulam, all this was important, right? So there was no chance for laziness, right? But here, if you don't have all of this, what happens? There is laziness, which is tamasika sukham. Therefore, nidra, sleeping all the time. Alasyam, remaining idle, right? Just moving, going from phone to phone all the time, just chatting with people, constantly doing only that, right? That is alasyam. And pramada means carelessness, right? So not knowing the value of human birth, we know that most part of our life, right, our constructive life is only for 20 to 25 years. First 12 to 13 years goes in childhood. Then last 30 years anyway goes because we are too old to do anything, right? So whatever is left, that in between portion is the productive portion, when we also have to earn and serve the society, plus we have to spend time on acquiring self knowledge also. The awareness of the value of the human birth, if that is not there, that is called pramadaha, right? Pramadaha means negligent, carelessness. And in fact, there is a beautiful Tamil song here, which you might have heard, and I think I have myself sung here before. I don't remember, maybe in the 3rd or 4th chapter. It goes this way. நந்தவனத்தில் ஓராண்டி 4 மாதமாய் குயவனை வேண்டி கொண்டு வந்தான் ஒரு தோண்டி அதை கூத்தாடி கூத்தாடி போட்டு ஓடை தாண்டி நந்தவனத்தில் ஓராண்டி. So what is the meaning of this? Nandavanam is the universe, and Andi, there's a poor human being, right? And he brought up Tondi is a pot. Basically, what is referred to here is the philosophical meaning. Here, the literal meaning is he got a pot and he danced around and broke the pot. Now, that is not the actual intended meaning of this. This is called a Siddhar Padal, right? Those ancient rishis in this part of the world were called Siddhars, right? So, the philosophical meaning is that Andi is that the ignorant human being, after praying to Lord by doing a lot of punyam, right? What happened? He got a human body. Nalaru madamai. Nalaru means 10 months, right? Staying in the mother's stomach, he got a human body, he or she. But he did not know how to use the human body, violating all the rules and playing with drugs, etc. Right? He spoiled all of them and he wasted away that human life, right? So that is a tamasic person who has wasted life. So it is indicated as he got that pot and he broke that pot, right? So that is a tamasic person who has spent his time in nidra, sleep, alasyam, laziness, and pramada, carelessness, right? So with this tamasic sukham, the three types of sukham is also over. So the message to us is what? Avoid tamasic sukham, be moderate in rajasic sukham. May you work for the everlasting satvika sukham, which includes moksha ananda, right? Continuing. न तदस्ति पृथिव्यां वा न तदस्ति पृथिव्यां वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्वं प्रकृतिजैर्मुक्तं सत्वं प्रकृतिजैर्मुक्तं यदेभिः स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः यदेभिः स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः. Here Lord Krishna says that everything can be divided into Satvika, Rajasika and Tamasika. I only given 6 or 7 topics as sample. It can be extended to everything. Music also can be Satvika, Rajasika, Tamasika. You can keep on jumping up and down also. That is also going to give you Ananda, right? But if you have a quiet and beautiful music which calms down the mind, right? So that is also another kind of, that is a Satvika kind of music, right? So any type of any field, you can divide it into these 3 types. So Krishna says, I have just given these 7 as samples, right? So Prakriti Jaihi, Tribirgunaihi, right? Muktam Sattvam Nasti, right? Here Sattvam is not meaning Sattva Gunam, Sattva meaning a living being, right? Sattva, Gunaihi Muktam, which is free from 3 gunas. Such a living being is not there. There is no living being who is free from the Tribir Gunaihi Prakriti Jaihi. Nobody is free from these 3 gunas. So such a living being is not there. Double negative. That means there is no living being which does not have the 3 gunas, right? So they are born out of Prakriti, and in Vedanta, introduction to Vedanta, we saw under creation how every pancha, every one of the pancha bhutas has a sattva aspect, a rajasa aspect, and tamasa aspect, right? Rajoguna aspect and tamoguna aspect. Since Maya or Prakriti has got 3 gunas, all the products of Maya also will have 3 gunas. So by the common law, Karana Gunaha Karye Anuvartante. That means the effect will follow the cause. So the attributes of the Karanam will inhere in the Karyam also, right? Therefore he says Prithivyam, on the earth, Divideveshu, Prithivyam Manushyeshu, right? We have to supply for Manushyeshu also. Basically, all the life, whether you are a celestial or a human being, on the earth or in the heaven, there is no living being who can be free from these 3 gunas. So our aim is what? to increase the sattva guna gradually, come to the knowledge and ultimately become gunatitaha, which is transcend all the three gunas, because for a spiritual seeker that is important, right? So as explained in the 14th chapter of the Gita, we saw this gunatitaha, right? So basically Krishna has now discussed a lot of different aspects, whether it is Dhritihi, Karta, Karma, Buddhihi, all of them. And what he has tried to communicate is a human being as well as all of this, because they're all resultant attributes, will always have a sattva aspect, a rajo aspect and a tamo aspect. And during a spiritual journey, we must try and move towards having the sattvika aspect of all of them. And in an active life, in the karma yoga pradhana life, it will be more of rajo guna and less of sattva guna. And tamasa guna doesn't help anywhere. Therefore, moving away from that and leading a life of discipline and inculcating dhritihi, etc., is very, very important right from childhood. So this is why I say, if this exposure is there to parents, right, when they are bringing up children, without communicating this in these kind of words, all the principles we can try and inculcate in the children, and that will definitely help them in the long run, because the tamoguna aspects of whatever we discussed is not going to help anybody at all, right? So with this, Krishna has indirectly condensed all the topics discussed in the previous chapter, right? And now in the following shloka, Lord Krishna wants to highlight the two important spiritual sadhanani once again, fundamental sadhanani, right? What are the two? Karma yoga and jnana yoga. And of course, he is going to say that bhakti yoga is all encompassing, and there is a first stage of bhakti yoga, which is karma yoga, and a second stage of bhakti yoga, which is jnana yoga, right? And Krishna wants to condense both of them in the following shlokas. ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय विषाम शूद्राणां च परन्तप कर्माणि प्रविभक्तानि स्वभाव प्रभवैर्गुणैः. Very, very important set of shloka. Very useful for you to note the meanings, because most often somebody who wants to put us down talks about, the caste system, etc. So very useful to remember these and speak exactly what Krishna has communicated here, right? The most important component of karma yoga is our contribution to our surroundings, right? And we talked about different layers: infrastructure, family, body, society, religion, environment, etc. So the first rule is we don't harm or disturb. The second rule is preserve. Third rule is improve. Don't harm, preserve and improve. When I die, the earth must be a better place than how I came in at the time of birth. Just imagine what a powerful message this is. Swamiji's put it so nicely, right? Therefore, the primary component of karma yoga is contribution to the infrastructure by taking up one profession or occupation or anything, right? So therefore, whatever profession or occupation we take, Veda looks at it from a different perspective. We also prepare ourselves for getting a job, right? But our perspective also is mostly that of earning money. It is a means of earning money. So I only focus on what can I get, how can I improve my comfort, how can I get a better house, better and better ornaments, how can I, improve my investments in the share market, right? Therefore, the thinking is always in terms of what I can get. But Veda says the whole preparation must be to get into a profession or occupation through which I can contribute to the infrastructure, and earning becomes a byproduct. Earning is not primary, contribution is not secondary. but the contribution is primary and earning becomes a byproduct, because I need to earn, I need to serve my family, I need to serve this infrastructure and society, and therefore I need to earn from an occupation, I need money for all this, right? So I am a karma yogi. And when earning is primary, I am a karmi. So Lord Krishna assumes that we all want to be karma yogis, and for that purpose we are learning some skill or the other through which I can contribute. What kind of occupation I should choose? What should be the basis for choosing the occupation, which we discussed in the 4th chapter very elaborately. So I'm not going to repeat that now. Chatur varnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashah tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. In the 13th verse of the 4th chapter, we saw what should be the basis of choosing the profession. The worst possible choice is money-based choice, right? And in fact, that is what is happening now. We choose a 6-figure salary, right? Preferably with less work. That is the worst choice of occupation. The next mediocre or the intermediary one is hereditary based choice, which is called caste system. The caste system profession is based on the birth of a person. If a father is a priest, the son is a priest. If there is a politician son, he becomes a politician, right? If there is a businessman son, he becomes a businessman, right? So this is also only a middle choice. The ultimate and the best one is according to my swabhava. So that is what Krishna is saying here. So sattva guna pradanaha, rajo guna pradanaha, tamo guna pradanaha. In the 4th chapter, right? We saw all this in detail, right? The contemplative one, the sattva guna pradana one, the selflessly active one. If you want to revise this, it should be there in the 2nd session of Introduction to Vedanta. I've covered this in detail. You can go through it, right? So contemplative one is the first one, selflessly active one, then the selfishly active one, and the passive one. The passive one is tamasika. An active one backed by sattva is selflessly active, right? An active one who has a commercial motive. Say even hospitals and educational institutions, when commercial motive is involved, it is a selfish activity, right? So what is a selfless activity? The first one is a selfless activity, that is the sattva guna pradana type. And then you have a, so you can either have, for instance, a completely not for profit charitable kind of institution where a lot of work is going on, that is selflessly active. But if you have a commercial motive, right, then it becomes a selfish activity, right? So the final one is the one which is the worst kind, right, which is a passive one, right? So depending upon my personality, I choose the profession. So there are 4 types of personalities, which is the first one, which is absolutely selfless and active, right? And selfless and contemplative. First one is selfless and contemplative. So that is Brahmana Gunaha, right? It is not based on caste. We have to note this. This is based on Swabhavaha. So this is Brahmana Gunaha, which is contemplative and selflessly working, right? The second one is Kshatriya Gunaha, which is selflessly working and active but selfless service. That is Kshatriya Gunaha. Selfishly active is Vaishya Gunaha. And the last one is a passive one, which is more service oriented, takes instructions and follows. Now there is nothing wrong with this. That is Shudra Gunaha. Depending on that, the 4 types of professions are suggested by the Shastra, right? So for these 4 types of people, birth based is not what we are talking about. We are talking about temperament, swabhava. So you can see the swabhava prabhavair gunaihi. This is Krishna saying swabhava. Okay. So 4 professional options based on the swabhava. When a person says, I'm not able to understand my guna. Suppose somebody says, I can't understand my guna. Morning, I am having Satvika Guna. Afternoon, I am having Rajasika Guna. Evening, I am having Tamasika Guna. Right? if the person doesn't know, then Shastra says better you go by heredity, because at least you know that your father has done it, right? And there is no other competition, right? So all professions, if you just take your parents, father's profession or mother's profession and do, that is a lot easier. So that is the second choice, right? So one by one, each karma is introduced. So the first one is Brahmana karma. Shamodamastapashaucham, Shamodamastapashaucham, Shantirarjavameva cha, Shantirarjavameva cha, Jnanam Vijnanamastikyam, Jnanam Vijnanamastikyam, Brahma Karma Swabhavajam, Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. So when Sattva Guna is dominant in a person, right? Sattva Guna represents Jnanam. Naturally, the Jnanendriyani will be active and alert. Buddhi is also capable of learning and knowing. Therefore, any knowledge-centered, skill-centered, education-centered profession will be suitable for that person, because the knowledge field, because it is in the knowledge field, Jnanendriyam and Buddhi are active. When it is Rajoguna, Karmendriya will be active. That person can't sit quietly for 5 minutes and even read a news item, right? So all the time their bags will be packed and they will be running around, right? So here the Swabhava, where Sattva Guna is predominant, Buddhi is predominant, Jnanendriyas are predominant, Karmendriyas are not so dominant, right? So what are the disciplines and activities? Shamaha means mind discipline. We saw this in Introduction to Vedanta in great detail. Damaha, sensory discipline. Shaucham, purity of the mind, sense organs, etc. And Shantihi means what a person, right, who wants high thinking generally takes to simple living and high thinking, right? Generally they go together, right? Sukharti chet tyajet vidyam, vidyarthi chet tyajet sukham. The one who is all the time comfort oriented, he will be complaining and he will not be able to spend time in any pursuit. And therefore Shantihi means simple living, not looking for too much comfort. Therefore the body can live without comfort. That is why if you see even the kings, when they had to send their princes to the to the Gurukulam, it was only a Parnashala, right? And the Guru did not give any great comfort, right? So they also led a simple life in the Gurukulam. So a body which seeks comfort cannot do that. Therefore, Shantihi means the body's capacity to withstand all kinds of situations, right? Arjavam means straightforwardness, value. It's a very important value, right? So all these values are associated with Sattva Guna. And then finally, Jnanam, all types of knowledge, because a Sattvika mind can lap up any amount of knowledge. And since they have got knowledge, they can take up the profession of spreading the knowledge also. Therefore, Brahmanas were the custodians of all forms of knowledge. Patanam and Patanam. They dedicated their life for this. Therefore, they could write so much. They could remember so much. The whole Veda was in the brain. The entire Ramayana, Mahabharata was in their brain. Hundreds of songs. If you look at Muthuswami Dikshitar in Sanskritam, so many songs were there. He never used an iPad or anything, right? All of them were there in their brain. So their brains were really wired for a lot of memory. If you look at even Panini's grammar, I always wonder how he remembered all these sutras in the mind. Today with Excel sheet and with all kinds of, find options, you are able to go and find the sutras. He remembered everything in his mind. So much of memory he must have had, right? Those rishis. So, and therefore Brahmanas used to take up the teaching profession, and in all our scriptures, all of them, they could get by heart all of them. They focused exclusively and they dedicated their life to knowledge production, knowledge preservation, and knowledge propagation. A very knowledge-centered life. So that is a Brahmin profession. So even today's academicians, etc., you can compare. Okay. So when I use the Brahmin, we must remember that this is Sattva Guna Pradhana Swabhavika Brahmana. Okay. and then they're taking to the corresponding profession, whether it is teaching, maintaining the scriptures, etc. Right? So both Laukika Jnanam and Shastriya Jnanam come under this, and they also, without scriptural background and no faith in God, they will not be able to, they will not know what is punyam, what is papam, etc. Therefore, astikyam means faith in the scriptures, faith in the dharma, faith in God, right? All these things go together. Therefore, he starts, such a Brahmana, a Guna Brahmana, starts with faith in God, right? And then knowledge of God requires very, very advanced inquiry. We saw that in Introduction to Vedanta and also in Gita, right? Jagat Karanam to, right? Jagat Srishti Karanam, Jagat Karta to Jagat Karanam Brahma. We saw the nature of God itself, right? So, and God himself is the universe, right? Finally, we saw that also. So, how do we teach the subtle kind of knowledge? It is only with a subtle intellect, right? So Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is the ultimate reality, and you can't teach that to a beginning student. So such a Guna Brahmana could do that. So Ishvara Shraddha must be there in the beginning, and then the Ishvara Jnanam comes, right? So that is Astikyam. So the Shraddha in Ishvara is called Astikyam, right? And all these are the profession of a teacher, right? A Brahmana teacher, a profession. We are not talking about birth here. And the second possible occupation is, you can choose a, as I said, it is not talking about birth. This is based on the, you are choosing the profession according to the temperament itself or swabhava. And of course, the Madhyama option is to take, because my father is a academician, I also become an academician. My father is a priest, I also become a priest. So here Krishna is emphasizing swabhavajam karma, right? So Krishna talks about both swabhava as well as hereditary, but here it is swabhavajam, right? The inclination is towards the one's own nature. Continuing. शौर्यं तेजो धृतिर्दाक्ष्यं शौर्यं तेजो धृतिर्दाक्ष्यं युद्धे चाप्यपलायनं दानमीश्वरभावश्च क्षात्रं कर्म स्वभावजम् Shatram karma swabhavajam. So what should a Kshatriya, a ruler, a king who has to maintain the law and order of the country, who has to defend the country, right? What all should he have? Shauryam, fighting spirit, because he needs to defend dharma, right? Shurasya bhavaha shauryaha. Heroism must be there. Rajasika guna must be dominant. And tejaha means power or courage to go to the war field when required. Dhritihi, we saw Dhritihi, willpower. Rajasika Dhritihi is required to hold on during a crisis and not run away. Therefore, Dhritihi means the capacity to survive a crisis and move on. Right? Dakshyam means the skill to take appropriate decision during a appropriate movement at the right time. Samarthyam or skill is called Dakshyam, especially to make decision during the emergency, when we don't have time to deliberate and when there is a warlike situation going on, right? So Dakshata, right? The presence of mind to take instantaneous decisions is called Dakshata or Dakshyam. Then Yuddhe Chapi Apalayanam. Krishna carefully adds that here, not running away from the battlefield. He must have looked at Arjuna when he said this, right? So, Arjuna, you have one foot outside the chariot and you want to run away. That is not going to do good for a Kshatriya. You may die in the battlefield, but never run away. Danam means sharing and giving, right? So, all those people, the citizens, according to their need, right? You share the earnings, not like we see a lot of corrupt people now, right? In various administrative positions, politics, etc. Not like that, but being a Kshatriya, sharing, right? So Danam, sharing is for the benefit of all the people. Then Ishvara Bhavasya, the most important thing is, what is important for a ruler? The leadership, leading from the front, leadership quality. All these are Shastram Karma Swabhavajam, which is based on a Kshatriya Swabhava. And in the 4th chapter, we saw for this, Rajoguna must be dominant, Kshatriya Swabhavaha. Then alone there will be this kind of willpower and courage. So the Rajoguna must be backed by Sattva-guna. Only then he will dedicate his life for the benefit of others. Otherwise, he will be very active and he will take the benefit for himself. Therefore, RST, we saw that Rajasika backed by Sattva and then little bit of Tamasa. That is Kshatriya Guna. So Rajoguna on the top, Sattva Guna second, and Tamoguna must be the third. Therefore, Shastra Swabhava means this Swabhava. And Vaishya Swabhava is RTS, Rajo, Tamasa and Sattvika. Rajoguna on the top. Therefore, he will work hard and whatever he earns, he will keep for himself. That is a Vaishya Swabhavaha. Always commercial motive. There is no motive for sharing at all. That is called Vaishya Gunaha. This is coming in the next shloka. Krishi Gaurakshya Vanijyam. Krishi Gaurakshya Vanijyam. Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. Paricharyatmakam karma. Paricharyatmakam karma. Shudrasyapi Swabhavajam. Shudrasyapi Swabhavajam. The most important occupation of agriculture or farming, Krishihi, Gaurakshyam, means cattle rearing and maintaining, right? Because cows and bulls were part of the agricultural society. So that is why we've got, Pongal, where we worship Surya Bhagavan, etc. Because very important, cows for tilling the land, bulls, etc. Right? The wealth of a person was determined by the number of cattle he has, right? So in Veda, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, you will see that the kings give away Dakshina, right, to his guru. Janaka tells Yajnavalkya, you have taught me, so I'm giving 1,000 cows. Not only that, on each of the cow, for each of the horn, he puts gold cover with gems, etc. and gifts, right? So that is the Dakshina. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the story comes. Therefore, cows played a very important role as a wealth. Therefore, maintaining that is Gorakshyam, right? Not for eating, but for serving. Then Vanijyam, naturally trading. So when in one area, certain types of grains are produced, they had to exchange it with another areas, different kind of grain. One can't just live on rice alone, right? So trade and agriculture both together comes under Vaishya Karma. That is also Swabhavajam, inherent, right? So economy of a country depends upon Vaishya. The difference between Kshatriya and Vaishya is Kshatriya considers a life a success when giving has been more and taking has been less. When I give more and take less, if I consider that as a success, I am Kshatriya. In the case of Vaishya, the definition of success is when I've got more and I have spent less. That is the difference in attitude. Right? Then comes the last profession, Paricharyatmakam Karma, providing service to all of the above three. All of them require manpower. Service providers are required, right? IT service providers, right? Any service provider for that matter will come under this category. Shudra Karma Swabhavajam, right? So any type of service we provide to any department, all of them, whether it is physical, e-service, business services, right? Any of them, they all come under Shudra Karma. It is not a degrading profession at all. This is very, very important, right? That is why in the Purusha Suktam, that was compared as 4 limbs of a human being. The head was Brahmana Karma, the shoulders defending the land, Kshatriya Karma, the economy, the thigh, which sustains a person as Vaishya Karma, and legs for working, you have to run here and there, and that is Shudra Karma. So legs don't mean it is degrading or inferior, right? So the four limbs indicate all departments that are required for a society. So any service, doctor, medical profession, servicing, all of them comes under this, right? So no profession is degrading. Paricharyatmakam karma, right? And see, it is swabhavajam, right? So it is based on one's own character, right? So you can take any profession according to your character. Then what is important, right? Now the karma part has been talked about. Now the yoga part is going to be highlighted. Yoga means appropriate attitude. Don't be mani pradana, that is dhana pradana. Don't be money minded. Be contribution pradana. When you want to contribute, the attitude is very, very important. स्वे स्वे कर्मण्यभिरतः स्वे स्वे कर्मण्यभिरतः संसिद्धिं लभते नरः संसिद्धिं लभते नरः स्वकर्मनिरतः सिद्धिं स्वकर्मनिरतः सिद्धिं यथा विन्दति तच्छृणु यथा विन्दति तच्छृणु. The purpose must be very, very clear as taught in Brahmacharya Ashrama itself. Along with the education, the Guru must tell what is the purpose of taking to a profession. The problem now is that we only talk about materialistic things in the modern society, right? Only Artha and Kama are spoken about. Buying a 2-bedroom house, 3-bedroom house, a luxurious car, etc. Right? Artha and Kama Pradana we talk about, right? Where all we can travel, what countries we can go, the vacation, etc. Whereas our scriptures say profession is for dharma, right? So dharma means jnana yogyata praptihi. The external possession should not decide my status. My status is not dependent on what I have. My status is on what I am. Internal growth, my character, my knowledge, they decide my worth. The worthiest person in India is a wise person. Na karmana, na prajaya, na dhanena tyage naike amritatva manashuhu. We will see in Kaivalya Upanishad. So the greatest wealth is wisdom, and that wisdom is the goal of life. That must be drilled into the mind of the brahmachari, right? The Santyavantanam mantram itself says, Maheranaya chakshase yova shivatamo rasaha tasya bhajayate hanaha, right? Oh Lord, apart from several other things, the main part, right? Oh Lord, I should have all the qualities which make me fit for spiritual knowledge. We teach this to a child at the age of 7 or 9. And the person continues through the brahmacharya ashrama and the grihastha ashrama, praying to the Lord every day, saying that make me fit for spiritual knowledge, right? Materialism is not what India stood for. Spirituality is India. Therefore, Krishna says, whatever profession you take to, may the goal be jnana yogyata prapti. So thus, after retirement at least, you can spend more time on Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Grihastha ashrama may be Artha Kama Pradana, but later we are supposed to graduate to Vanaprastha Sannyasa Ashrama, where I pursue Jnanam for the rest of my life. So that is called Samsiddhi, spiritual success, otherwise called Jnana Yogyata. Therefore, Krishna says, Naraha, hey Vaidika, Hindu, who is not a materialistic person at all, Sve Sve Karmani Abhirataha, by committing himself to any one of the professions, because Jnana Yogyata can be attained through Brahmana Karma, Chitta Shuddhi, Kshatriya Karma can give Chitta Shuddhi, Vaishya Karma can give Chitta Shuddhi, Shudra Karma also can give Chitta Shuddhi. Whatever type of karma you choose, it does not matter. What is your motive and attitude? That matters. Therefore, Abhirataha, being committed to with pride, being proud of any profession I do, Sve Sve Karmani, one's own chosen profession, right? Abhirataha, being committed to that, you try to excel in that, right? Naraha samsiddhim labate, right? Whatever may be the income, whatever may be the material status, right? They are all not success. May you involve in sadhana chatushtaya sampattim labade, viveka, vairagya, etc. Right? Shamadhi Shadka Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. Right? Jnanam will come afterwards because this is what helps you gain Chitta Shuddhi. Right? So if motive and attitude are there, then it will be Karma Yoga. Minus the motive and attitude, it will just become Karma. Right? So, O Arjuna, Krishna says, Swakarma Nirataha, being committed to one's own profession, Yata Siddhim Vindati. How a person gets Jnana Yogyata, right? Siddhi here means spiritual qualifications. Some Siddhim in the first line and Siddhim of the second line, both of them mean Jnana Yogyata, Sadhana Chantushtaya Sampattihi Praptihi, right? So, Yata Vindati, how can one attain Tat Shruno? May you listen to. Very, very important shloka, 46 shloka. I understand Pujya Swamiji spends hours on this shloka. Yatha pravrittir bhutanam, yatha pravrittir bhutanam, ena sarvamidam tatam, ena sarvamidam tatam, swakarmana tamabhyarcha, swakarmana tamabhyarcha, siddhim vindati manavaha, siddhim vindati manavaha. So the most important attitude is convert your entire life into a form of worship. The whole life should become a puja. That means you must be fundamentally an Ishvara Bhaktaha, Manmanabhava Madbhaktaha, Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, Mame Vaishyasi Yuktva Evam Atmanam Matparayanaha. In chapter 9, we saw in the 34th verse, right? So that is why we said faith in scripture and God are very, very important. Then only I can convert myself into a bhakta, having a form of God that I like, any form of Ishtadevata, right? So that God, in the initial stages of bhakti, my understanding of God is very general. Ishvara is Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam, right? So I can be a Shiva Bhakta, a Devi Bhakta, a Ganesha Bhakta. I can do any specific puja, and also I can do that puja in the form of physical puja, Shiva Manasa Puja, or it can be mental puja. If I don't chant and I think about Shiva in Shiva Manasa Puja mentally, it is Manasa Puja. If I chant, it is Vachika Puja, right? So it can be any of them. I spend a few minutes, right, in this Ishvara Puja. So therefore, then we understand the 11th chapter of the Gita, right? The Vishwarupa Ishvara is described there. Then Ishvara being the cause of the entire universe, the cause itself pervades the entire effect. Therefore, not only I do puja for a duration in the morning, but whenever I do anything, Karacharana Kritam va, Kayajam Manasam va, whatever I do, right? Shavana Nayanajam va, Manasam va Paradam, right? Whatever I do, whatever I think, whatever I speak, right? Yadyat karma karomi tattat akilam shambho tavaradhanam, right? So yad, we also saw yad karoshi, yad adnashi in 9th chapter. So whatever karma I do, I dedicate that as an offering to the Lord. So I maintain Ishwararpana bhavana and prasada bhavana throughout the day, right? Then my whole life becomes what, right? So, Vishesha Puja is sitting puja. Samanya Puja is converting life itself into a puja. So, that is why we have the slogan, work is worship. Very unique to India, right? Therefore, Krishna says, Swakarmana, any profession you do, tam abhyarchya, may you worship the Lord. Therefore, let the quality of your work be of very, very high standards, right? Very important message here. So we will complete this verse in the next class. I will stop here. Very important verse, so I should not rush through. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So do send me a mail if you're interested, and I'm actually creating a WhatsApp group for the Upanishad interest group, so I will include you there. So our next class will be on 8th May 6:25. So is there any question? I'm just going to see if anybody has any questions. No, I don't think there are any questions. Yeah. So today's class was very important in case you want to speak to others, because there are a lot of misconceptions, so it might help you. And you can quote Krishna himself here, so which is very nice. So next week we will meet 8th May, Saturday, 6:25. Hari Om.